The encounter by twilight, the last rays of sunset, painted the sky in hues of amber and violet as Elian Thorne made his way along the winding forest path toward Luminous Springs. At 25, he had built a modest reputation as a botanical illustrator, documenting the rare flora that grew only in the secluded valleys surrounding Merwood Village. Tonight was special. The annual celestial shower was due to peak, and legend claimed the spring's waters reflected the falling stars in ways that revealed hidden truths. Elian adjusted his worn leather satchel containing his sketchbook and colored pencils. His professor at the university would be impressed if he could capture the luminescent moss that supposedly glowed brighter during the meteor shower. The springs came into view, a perfect circle of crystalline water surrounded by ancient stone markers half buried in the earth. Elian settled on a flat rock, breathing in the scent of pine and night-blooming jasmine, when a blinding light streaked across the sky, far brighter than any shooting star he'd ever witnessed. It arced downward, disappearing behind the ridge of pines to the north. Curiosity pulled him to his feet. That was no ordinary meteor. It had changed direction before vanishing. Following his instincts, Elian ventured deeper into the woods, the silver light of the rising moon guiding his steps in a small clearing ringed by glowing mushrooms. He found her. She lay motionless on a bed of soft moss, her skin an impossible shade of lavender that seemed to pulse with inner light. Her hair flowed around her like liquid midnight, embedded with tiny points of light, reminiscent of distant galaxies. Despite her otherworldly appearance, her face held a serene beauty that made Elian's heart skip a beat. "Hello?" he whispered, kneeling beside her. "Can you hear me?" When she didn't respond, concern overwhelmed his hesitation. He reached for his canteen, gently lifting her head to offer water to her parched lips. As the first drops touched her mouth, the clearing filled with a silver-blue light emanating from her skin. Her eyes fluttered open, iridescent violet irises with flecks of gold that seemed to contain entire universes. She gasped, fingers clutching at his wrists with surprising strength. "Where am I?" Her voice held a musical quality, like wind chimes in a summer breeze. "Merwood Forest, near Luminous Springs," Elian answered, transfixed. "I'm Elian. What's your name?" "Naya," she whispered, the words sounding both familiar and foreign on her tongue. "I think my name is Naya." As she sat up, Elian noticed with shock that he recognized her face from dreams that had visited him every new moon for the past year. Dreams where they walked together through fields of stars. "Have we met before?" he asked, helping her stand on unsteady legs. Naya studied him with those otherworldly eyes. "Your energy feels familiar, like ... home." Ash! She looked around in confusion. "But this isn't my home. How did I get here?" Before Elian could respond, Naya's legs gave way. He caught her against his chest, her skin cool to the touch, yet somehow radiating warmth that spread through his entire being. "I need to get you somewhere safe," he said. "Can you walk if I help you?" She nodded weakly, and as they made their way slowly through the forest, the night blooms seemed to turn toward her, opening their petals as if she were a second moon. Elian couldn't explain why, but he felt certain that life as he knew it had just changed forever. The stars continued to fall overhead, witnessing the beginning of something both wondrous and dangerous. Strange blossoms, the cottage where Elian lived, sat on the edge of Merwood Village. Surrounded by a garden of medicinal herbs and rare flowering plants he cultivated for his illustrations. As he guided Naya through the wooden gate, the dormant moonflowers, which typically bloomed only during the full moon still, 2 weeks away, suddenly unfurled their silvery petals, releasing their sweet fragrance into the night air. "The flowers," Naya whispered, her violet eyes widening. "They're greeting me." Elian watched in astonishment as every plant in his garden seemed to lean toward her, as if drawn by an invisible force. Even his stubborn orchids, which had refused to bloom for months, were now displaying vibrant blossoms. "That's not normal," he murmured, helping her inside. The small cottage was filled with botanical sketches pinned to every wall, dried herbs hanging from ceiling beams, and shelves of reference books and specimen jars. "You capture the essence of living things," Naya observed, fingertips hovering over a detailed drawing of a rare mountain lily. "You see what others miss?" As Elian prepared a herbal tea for his unexpected guest, he found himself stealing glances at her. Under the warm lamplight, Naya's purple skin had a pearlescent quality, and the tiny lights in her dark hair pulsed in rhythm with her breathing. She moved with a grace that seemed almost liquid, as if gravity affected her differently. "I think I've dreamed about you," Elian admitted, passing her the steaming cup. "For almost a year now?" Naya's eyes met his. "Time flows differently between realms. Perhaps your dreams were glimpses across the veil." She closed her eyes as she sipped the tea, and the clock on the mantel slowed visibly. Its second hand, barely crawling forward. Elian blinked, unsure if he was imagining things. "What are you, Naya?" "I'm not entirely certain," she replied, looking at her hands with a mixture of wonder and confusion. "I remember stars, endless stars, and a purpose." Her brow furrowed. "I was sent to protect something important, something hidden beneath this land." That night, Elian offered Naya his bed while he slept in his study. In his dreams, he saw her again, not as she appeared now, but soaring through a violet sky, trailing stardust behind her as she moved between floating islands of crystalline light. When he woke at dawn, he found tiny flowers had sprouted from the wooden floorboards around his makeshift bed, forming a perfect circle. Over the next few days, strange phenomena continued. The water in glasses would form perfect geometric patterns when Naya was deep in thought. Clocks ran faster or slower in her presence, depending on her mood. And when their hands accidentally touched while reaching for the same book, sparks of actual starlight danced between their fingertips. On the third evening, as they walked along the edge of the forest, Elian found himself drawn to her in ways he couldn't explain, a connection that transcended physical attraction. As if their very souls recognized each other from some ancient time. "The springs called to me today," Naya said quietly as the first stars appeared overhead. "I think there are answers there." "We'll go tomorrow," Elian promised, noticing how the fireflies gathering around them pulsed in sync with Naya's heartbeat. "But there's something you should know. The village elders speak of an old prophecy that once every millennium, a star falls to Earth in human form to either renew or reclaim the power that sleeps beneath luminous springs." Naya turned to him, the gold flecks in her eyes brightening. "And what happens to the star being in these legends?" Elian hesitated, remembering the darker part of the tale. "They either return to the cosmos with the power, or merge with it and remain forever." "As guardian or thief," Naya whispered, as if recalling something. "That's why I'm here. But which am I meant to be?" Their eyes held for a long moment, and Elian felt his heart racing. Whatever the answer, he was already certain of one thing: he didn't want her to leave, as if reading his thoughts. Naya reached up to touch his cheek, leaving a trail of faint starlight on his skin. "Some connections transcend worlds, Elian Thorne. I may not remember everything, but I remember the feeling of searching for something, someone across the void, beneath their feet." The earth trembled slightly, as if acknowledging a truth neither of them fully understood yet. Memories in starlight luminous springs looked different, in daylight less magical, more ancient. The circular pool reflected the blue sky above, but Elian noticed how the water rippled toward Naya as they approached, like metal drawn to a magnet. "It recognizes you," he observed. Naya nodded, kneeling at the water's edge. "And I recognize it." She placed her palm on the surface, and the water adhered to her skin, crawling up her arm in spirals of liquid crystal. "This is a nexus point, a place where dimensions touch." As the water connected with her, Naya gasped. Her eyes glowed brighter. The marks that had appeared on her skin, constellations that shifted with her movements, burned with internal light. "Remember now," she whispered. "I am Neoloran, guardian of the celestial seal. My people, the Astrali, we protect the cosmic barriers between realms." Images flashed through her mind, and somehow Elian could see them too. A civilization of beings like Naya, with varying hues of skin, purples, blues, and silver, living among floating archipelagos in a dimension where physics obeyed different laws. He saw Naya volunteering for a sacred mission, traveling through a corridor of pure starlight, and then something attacking her mid-journey, dark tendrils that had torn away parts of her memory before she crash-landed on Earth. "The Void Seekers," Naya said, her voice trembling. They hunt for weak points between worlds, places like the springs. They sent me off course, hoping I would fail. She looked at Elian, her expression pained. The barrier is thinning. In 7 days, during the celestial alignment, the veil between worlds will be at its weakest. Elian felt a chill. Is that why you were sent here? To strengthen it? Yes. And no. Naya stood, water droplets hovering around her in defiance of gravity. There is power here in ancient, raw energy that predates both our worlds. My people believe it should be returned to the cosmos to prevent it from falling into the wrong hands. But ... quotes, but what? This world has held it safely for millennia. And there are guardians here, 2 human lineages charged with protecting it. Her eyes fixed on Inian with sudden intensity. Lineages like yours. Elian stepped back. What are you talking about? Your dreams of me, the way plants respond to you, how easily you see through the veil. These are not coincidences. Naya touched his chest, directly over his heart. Your ancestors were chosen as Earth's guardians, just as mine were chosen among the stars. As her fingers connected with him, memories not his own flooded Elian's mind. His great-grandmother performing rituals at these very springs. His grandfather teaching his father to communicate with plants. Secrets passed down through generations, but somehow lost before reaching him. My parents died when I was young, Elian whispered. Whatever knowledge they had died with them. Naya's expression softened, not lost dormant, like seeds waiting for the right season. She took both his hands in hers, and where their skin touched, their energies merged visibly, his earthy green aura intertwining with her cosmic violet. We were meant to find each other, she said. Guardians of Earth and Star, meeting at the threshold. The realization of their connected fates hung between them, charged with both possibility and danger. Elian felt drawn to her not just physically but spiritually, as if some ancient recognition was awakening in his blood. When he leaned forward to kiss her, it felt both inevitable and revolutionary. Their lips met, and the world around them momentarily vanished, replaced by visions of stars and roots. Cosmic rivers and earthen veins, all interconnected in patterns too vast to comprehend. When they separated, breathless, tiny flowers had bloomed in a circle around them, and motes of starlight danced in the air. What happens now? Elian asked, still holding her close. Naya's expression grew troubled. Now we prepare. The Void Seekers will have sensed my awakening. They'll come for the power beneath the springs and for me. In the distance, storm clouds gathered unnaturally fast, and birds took flight in panicked flocks. The battle for 2 worlds was about to begin. The choice of 2 realms' dark clouds loomed over Merwood for 3 days, unnatural in their stillness. No rain fell, but distant thunder rumbled continuously, like the footsteps of approaching giants. In Elian's cottage, he and Naya prepared for the coming confrontation, their connection deepening with each passing hour. The alignment will peak at midnight on the 7th day, Naya explained, tracing cosmic patterns on a map of the valley. Her fingertip left trails of starlight that formed a complex mandala centered on luminous springs. When it does, 3 paths will open. I can return the power to the stars, seal it deeper into the earth, or, her violet eyes meeting his, or the Void Seekers could take it, Elian finished. Yes. Naya's expression darkened. If that happens, both our worlds would suffer. The Seekers don't preserve, they consume. They spent their days rediscovering Elian's inherited abilities. Under Naya's guidance, he learned to communicate with plants beyond simple intuition, directing vines to form protective barriers, accelerating the growth of thorned bushes around the springs, coaxing trees to bend their branches into warning systems that would alert them to intruders. During quiet moments, they shared pieces of themselves. Naya told him of the crystalline cities of her homeworld, where music was visible and time flowed in spirals rather than lines. Elian shared stories of his childhood, his passion for capturing the spirit of plants through art, and the emptiness he'd always felt, a void now filled by her presence. On the evening of the 6th day, they stood on the hillside overlooking the village, watching distant lightning illuminate the unnatural storm clouds. Naya's hair floated around her face, responding to energies humans couldn't perceive.
"You're close now,"
she whispered. "I can feel them testing the boundaries." Leon took her hand, noting how her purple skin had begun to develop patterns resembling the night sky, constellations shifting with her emotions. "Whatever happens tomorrow, I want you to know I know," she interrupted softly, placing her palm against his cheek. "I've always known." Their kiss this time was desperate, charged with the uncertainty of tomorrow. As their embrace deepened, the air around them shimmered with motes of light, her starlight merging with the green glow that had begun emanating from his skin when they touched. Later that night, in the quiet sanctuary of his cottage, their bodies came together like two halves of a cosmic whole. Naya's skin illuminated the darkness, casting shifting patterns of starlight across the walls as they moved together, where their bodies joined. Time itself seemed to stutter and flow differently, moments stretching into eternities then collapsing back into seconds. Outside, flowers bloomed in the moonlight, and the very earth beneath them hummed with ancient recognition. "If I have to leave," Naya whispered against his skin, "I'll find a way back to you." Leon held her tighter, memorizing every curve and plane of her otherworldly body. "I won't let you go." As dawn broke on the seventh day, they rose to face their fate, both changed by their union, Naya more earthly, Elian touched by the stars, each carrying pieces of the other within them. At the edge of the forest they stopped. A shimmering distortion in the air revealed 6 tall, slender figures approaching, their forms constantly shifting like smoke, with only their glowing red eyes remaining fixed. "Void Seekers," Naya hissed, her body tensing. The battle began without warning. The Seekers moved like living shadows, disappearing and reappearing, their elongated limbs stretching impossibly as they attacked. Naya countered with blasts of stellar energy, while Elion commanded the forest itself, roots erupting from the ground to entangle the enemies, trees bending to block their path. One by one they dispatched the Seekers, reducing them to wisps of dark matter that dissipated into nothingness. But with each victory, the storm intensified, and Elian could see Naya weakening, the light within her dimming. "They were just the advance party," she gasped, leaning against him as they finally reached Luminous Springs. Their master approaches. The water of the springs now glowed with internal light, responding to the celestial alignment that had begun overhead. Stars visible even through the storm clouds were moving into a formation not seen for millennia. "We don't have much time," Elian said. Helping her to the water's edge, Naya placed her hands on the surface, and immediately the water rose to meet her, forming complex patterns that mirrored the alignment above. The choice must be made now. Tears slid down her cheek, glowing like liquid starlight. "If I return the power to the stars, the balance will be restored. But I must go with it," Elian's heart constricted. "And if you seal it in the earth, then I would be forsaking my duty to my people." Her eyes met his, filled with conflict. "I would be choosing one realm over another." The sky split open with a deafening crack, and a vortex of darkness began to form directly above them. The Void Master, forcing its way through the weakened barrier. Time was running out. Bridges between stars, the vortex above Luminous Springs expanded. A terrible maw of absolute darkness ringed with crimson lightning. The water responded, swirling into a mirroring whirlpool that revealed a pulsing crystal core at its center, the ancient power both worlds sought to claim. "I have to decide now," Naya said, her voice barely audible above the howling winds. Elian looked from the descending void to the woman he loved, her purple skin now translucent, stars visible beneath as if her body was becoming a window to the cosmos. The choice seemed impossible, his heart against two worlds' safety. But then, a memory flashed through his mind, not his own, but one Naya had shared during their connection. A forgotten legend among her people about the original guardians, who were neither of the stars nor of the earth, but something in between. "Wait," he said, gripping her hands. "What if there's another way? Not choosing one realm over another, but creating a bridge between them?" Understanding dawned in her eyes. A permanent nexus. Together, they stepped into the springs, the water rising around them, neither hot nor cold, but charged with potential. Above, the Voidmaster's form began to materialize, a colossal entity of shifting darkness, reaching down with appendages like black lightning. If we combine our essences with the power, Elion continued, we become the guardians of both realms, neither fully star nor fully earth, but the living connection between them. Naya's eyes widened. It's never been done. We would be changed forever. As long as we're together, he said, I'm not afraid of change. Their decision made, they embraced at the center of the springs, the crystal core rising between them. As the Voidmaster's attack descended, they pressed their palms against the ancient stone Ian, channeling the life force of the earth. Naya, the energy of the stars. The crystal pulsed once, twice, and then exploded into particles of light that enveloped them both. Pain and ecstasy coursed through their bodies as they transformed, their very essences merging with the power and with each other. Elion felt his consciousness expand beyond his physical form. Touching every plant in the forest, every stone, every drop of water, simultaneously he perceived the vast expanse of the cosmos, countless stars and worlds connected by threads of energy. And through it all, Nia remained his anchor. Her presence intertwined with his, in a union more complete than any physical joining. When the light faded, the Voidmaster had been repelled, the tier in reality sealed by a new barrier, one composed of their combined energies. The storm dissipated, revealing a sky where new constellations had formed, mirroring the patterns now permanently etched into both their skins. They stood in the now-come waters, changed but whole. Naya's purple skin now held flecks of earthy green, while Elion's human form was subtly altered, his eyes containing the same universe depths as hers, his blood carrying traces of starlight. We are the bridge, Naya whispered in wonder, looking at their joined hands where energy flowed continuously between them. Neither fully of your world nor mine, but guardians of both. In the days that followed, they discovered the extent of their transformation. They could shift between physical form and pure energy, travel the hidden pathways between dimensions, and perceive both worlds simultaneously. The plants of the forest now thrived with cosmic energy, while stars visible only from Mirwood developed planetary systems that echoed Earth's patterns. Word spread of the miracle at luminous springs, and pilgrims began arriving from distant lands. Elion and Naya became legends, the starseeds, some called them, or the twined guardians. They built a sanctuary around the springs, teaching those with the aptitude how to nurture the connection between realms. 1 year after their transformation, they stood again at the springs under a perfect night sky. Elion pulled Naya close, marveling at how her touch still sent currents of starlight racing through his veins. Do you ever regret it? He asked. Not returning to your people. Naya smiled, her violet eyes reflecting both stars above and earth below. My people understand duty and purpose better than most. We haven't abandoned them, we've created something greater than either world had alone. As if to prove her point, a small group of Astrali appeared at the edge of the springs, the first diplomatic envoy from her world, come to learn of the new balance. Behind them, villagers from Mirwood approached cautiously, bringing offerings of fruit and flowers. A new age begins, Elion murmured, watching the hesitant first contact between the two species. Naya leaned up to kiss him, their energies flaring visibly where their lips met. No, she corrected gently. It began the moment you gave water to a fallen star, not knowing what wonders would follow around them. The sanctuary glowed with combined energies of Earth and cosmos, no longer separate realms but parts of a greater whole. Bridged by two souls who had chosen love over division, unity over separation, and in doing so, had transformed not just themselves, but the very fabric of reality. As they welcomed their visitors from both worlds, Elion and Naya stood as living proof that the greatest power in any universe is not found in ancient crystals or cosmic alignments, but in the choice to see beyond boundaries and recognize that even the most different beings can find common ground in the simplest of connections.